Hello, reactors, and welcome back to The Reaction Shot, a pop culture podcast. Look at us making our way through season 3, and I'm still buzzing every time I hit record. And none of this happens without you, the listeners. I'm also still proudly part of the You Run Podcast Network, a powerhouse lineup of creators covering everything under the sun. And speaking of powerhouses, I need to spotlight one show in particular, the Family Frights Podcast. That's right, spooky families, this show is for you. The Family Frights Podcast is hosted by horror mama Mary and spookster Niro, a mother and son duo with a love for all things horror. They bring you fun discussions about horror movies the whole family can enjoy. From classic slashers and cult favorites to newer horror hits, every episode feels like hanging out with your fellow horror fans who truly love the genre. So if you're looking for spooky conversations, great family chemistry, and a podcast made by horror fans for horror fans, be sure to check out the Family Frights Podcast, a podcast you truly don't want to miss out on. You can find their show and the entire network lineup at yourunpodcast.com. Again, that's yourunpodcast.com. Go explore, go binge, go support all of the creators who make this community so damn fun. After you deep dive into the You Run Podcast creators and subscribe to all of them, be sure to check out Scream 7. It's out now on digital from Paramount Pictures. That's right, fear comes home, and nowhere is safe. Prepare to scream. The 7th entry in the Scream franchise does not disappoint. So go buy or rent Scream 7 on digital now. It'll be a killer time. And as for the reaction shot, well, you're here at episode 8 of season 3. Everybody knows Meet the Parents. The awkward dinner scenes, the chaos, the lies spiraling out of control, and of course, the legendary performances from Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro. But what a lot of people don't know is that the movie actually started as a small, dark, independent comedy feature film made years earlier by a filmmaker from Chicago. And today, I'm talking to the guy who created it all. Joining me for this episode is Greg Glienna, the original writer, director, editor, and star behind the 1992 indie feature original, Meet the Parents. Made for around $30,000, the original movie was way darker, more uncomfortable, and far more chaotic than the mainstream version that audiences eventually got. In this episode, Greg tells the unbelievable story of how a simple improv idea evolved into an indie film that quietly became the blueprint for one of the biggest comedy franchises of all time. We get into Hollywood discovering the movie, how the original version differs from the remake, the complicated reality of creative ownership, and what it feels like watching your indie passion project turn into a global phenomenon that most people don't even realize started with you. This is such a fun and fascinating conversation, and honestly, one of the craziest behind-the-scenes movie stories that I've ever heard. Sit back for this exclusive interview. That's right. For now, let's forget the parents. Let's go meet Greg. Hey, Greg. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Reaction Shot Podcast. It's me, your host, Dave, and joining me today is Greg Glienna. Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great so far.
So far.
Audio mishaps.
Hey, we love audio mishaps around here. I feel like my last 3 episodes, whether it been me or my guest, I feel like it's happened, so it makes it fun, right? Something like that. Awesome. So definitely want to talk to you today a little bit about your life, your career, and I definitely want to dive into the fact that you are the original creator of the original Meet the Parents, which was something that I had no idea even existed. I
How
feel
could
like
you?
right, and I feel like you might hear that quite a bit. Is that true?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
unfortunately, yes. But
Universal has done a great job of keeping this buried.
ah, man, I hate to hear that because I'll let you know, I did check some of it out and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I'm not even
Oh,
just
thank
saying
you.
that to you. Yeah. So let's kind of go back in time a little bit here. Give me a little bit of background on who you are, kind of like your origin story. Where'd you grow up? All that fun stuff.
Well, I grew up in Parkridge, Illinois, home of Hillary Clinton and Harrison Ford.
Nice.
And I went to film school, but I dropped out because I fell into the world of stand up comedy. And I did that for a number of years. I opened up for David Copperfield and Tim Allen and Connie Francis, and so but all the time I was doing that, I was making short films, and I made a short film called The Vase, where a guy goes to meet his girlfriend's parents and he breaks their prize vase.
Mm,
And I had this idea for turning it into a feature because I thought, why couldn't the whole movie just be this guy going to visit his parents? And I told my friend Emo Phillips, who I used to open for a lot, who was a famous comedian. He still is, but mainly in the 90s.
sure.
And he says that that's a good idea. If you write it, and if I like it, I'll put some money into it. He thought it was a great idea for comedy.
Yeah.
So I wrote it with a friend of mine named Mary Ruth Clark because she'd written plays and I never wrote anything
Gotcha.
before. And we did this movie and Emo funded it. We did it very cheap. It was like $30,000. And you want me to continue with this the Meet the Parents saga?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, kind of lead right into that.
Well,
That's perfect.
first National Lampoon bought it, and they were
Okay.
going to release it as National Lampoon's Meet the Parents, but
Nice.
then that fell through. The story I got was they signed a deal with New Line Cinema to do some National Lampoon films, and they didn't want our little home movie on the shelf next to their $3 million movies, whatever they were.
Sure. Sure.
But so that fell through, and we ended up playing some art houses, did really good. Uh, it came to the attention of Steven Soderbergh, the
Mm,
director,
yeah.
and he wanted to direct the remake. So he took it into Universal, and Universal bought it, and then 5 years went by, and it came out with Jay Roach and the Meet the Parents the world knows.
Sure.
So that's
Uh,
the short version.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite the journey, all kind of stemming from an original idea you had. You said it was called The Vase originally. That was like a segment in the film, correct?
It was a 5 minute, 4 minute short film.
Sure,
It was
sure.
be sure to compliment their vase, and he breaks this
Yeah,
vase. Yeah. And the
yeah.
vase became the urn in my film. And
Gotcha, yeah. That's obviously a scene in, the Universal version with Ben Stiller,
right.
but the scene in yours is incredible. I actually have not watched The Vase, so I'm gonna check that out too to kinda
You can't,
go back.
I don't have it
Uh
online anymore.
oh, man, okay.
I think, I'm in LA now and I have a storage space here, and I think it's on a VHS tape somewhere in the storage space, but I don't
nice.
know for sure. But yeah, there's nowhere online you'll find that.
Man, all right. Well, hopefully someday you'll be able to find a copy of that and get it out there for some people to
Right.
see because it'd be a good time to check that out. Uh,
You know what I can't figure out? Well, this will mean nothing to people who have not seen my film, but there's this joke where he says, the dad says, "Well, being good with money is, a good thing." And my character says, "Yeah, I've always believed a penny saved is a penny earned." And the dad
mhm,
gets up and walks out,
yeah,
and
yeah,
she's like, "You're." His mother's name was Penny, and she keeps her ashes in an urn.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that got like a huge laugh with an
yeah.
audience, and they kept the urn but cut that joke out, which I never could figure out.
That is very interesting because like I said, I did watch a lot of the your version of Meet the Parents, and that line actually did make me laugh too. And I was curious why that wasn't a part of the film because it's a very creative line. At
Well,
first,
when the guy who did the first rewrite, Jim Hertzfeld was his name. They want to change as much as they can so they get sole credit.
sure,
So the sister became a brother and the dog became a cat and this, but
Of
he kept it,
course.
but everything is kind of different.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, going back to you growing up and everything, you said that you originally went to film school. You dropped
Mhm.
out for comedy. Was comedy always something that you were also trying to pursue on the side? Like, did you grow up in a house of comedy?
No, not really. I kind of fell into it. I had a friend who wanted to be a comedian, and he went to some open mics, so I tagged along with him. And then one night, I figured, well, I should try this because I had done a comedy sketch in contest speakers in high school.
Hmm.
So I did that, and it happened to be Labor Day weekend, so it was packed. And I did really well. I got a couple laughs, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." Then I bombed for 3 months,
Nah.
but I just started doing it. And in the '80s, there was this comedy boom
Mm,
where clubs were opening up left and right, and I kept getting calls. Oh, so and so gave me your name. I heard you were very funny, and before I know it, I was working all the time. So I dropped out of film school and was. I never meant to be a comedian. It just kind of happened,
yeah. I mean,
and
it's working out for you.
yeah, sometimes. Um, no, but I kept making short films and stuff while I was doing comedy, but it
Yeah.
was yeah, it was I wasn't planned. I had never planned on becoming a comedian.
Now, when you were younger, were you one of those younger children who were, always running around with a video camera and making
Oh
movies
yeah,
with your friends? Yeah. What kind of
yeah.
movies were you making?
Uh, all kinds. I mostly comedy, but
Okay.
I learned that if you spliced Super 8 film and you turned it upside down, if you shot it upside down and then you turned it up, it would go backwards. So
Interesting.
we
Okay.
made me and my friends made something called Super Lean, and you would jump off the garage, and it would fly up.
Oh yeah. Always a good time.
Yeah, I made a bunch of comedy films with Super 8.
Okay. Awesome. What type of comedy was always your favorite? Obviously, Meet the Parents is definitely like a situational comedy, which is my favorite type of comedy, to be honest. Was that always like the direction your comedy went?
I think so.
Yeah.
I believe comedy is something that's not funny that happens to somebody else, basically.
Yes, that's fair. That's
So I've
absolutely
always
fair.
liked that kind of comedy where it's just painful. There are no jokes in my Meet the Parents.
No, it's it's crazy because I feel like with your Meet the Parents, I feel like the tone might be a little bit more of a darker comedy, in my
Oh,
opinion.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? Just because they all die at the end?
I mean that, yeah. And I think there's like that I want to say like more of a crude humor as opposed to I feel like in the Meet the Parents of in 2000 was more of a little bit more lighthearted family-esque comedy.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's yeah, so I don't know, I mean, even just the penny earn thing, it's fantastic, and some people might not even catch it. I mean, I feel like it's an obvious joke, but some people might not catch that, and it's very creative.
Oh, thank you. We put this gas station wraparound where a guy is going to visit his in-laws' parents, and the gas station guy tells him, "I knew this guy in this horror
Mhm.
story." But we did that so we could make it end horribly,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just this guy telling the story. We don't know if
right.
he just could be a bored gas station employee who likes to scare people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when the film started, obviously the beginning of the film is different from what we know with the Ben Stiller version, but at first I was kinda like, "Oh, where are we gonna go with this?" And for them to like, kinda start telling that story, I'm like, "Alright, cool." He's meeting a guy who's, about to meet his mother, father-in-law,
But you can
and
look at my version as basically a gas station guy who's bored with his job and likes to fuck with people.
that's fair, that's 100% fair.
But
Um,
we did when we sold it, we did two rewrites for Universal, even one with Steven Soderbergh. And in those versions, we dropped the gas station, we put the happy ending on, and
of course.
the rewrite that we did is a lot closer to the finished film than my film is.
Gotcha. So, did you have writing credit? Obviously, you created the characters. Do you have writing credit for, like, at least the first Meet the Parents?
Yeah, we got story by, and
Story by
basically,
okay.
and all the sequels we get based on characters created by.
Absolutely. Obviously, the last name's different. Where did Fokker come from with the newer version?
Jim Carrey added that.
Really? Interesting.
That's what I heard. Yeah, he was
Okay.
supposed to play the lead for a while, and that was
Wow.
his thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. How was it seeing, you're obviously in the talks with Universal. They're getting the rights to your film. How did you feel once the film was kind of coming together and being put out into the world and people seeing, this original idea that you had being brought to life slightly differently than what you had anticipated it originally to be seen? How did you feel about that?
Uh, I don't care about any of that
Sure.
except there's one sentence in this contract that I didn't understand that wasn't explained to us that
Mm,
basically says Universal, we can only show our film for educational purposes or film festivals.
mm,
We missed that little line. So basically, if I could have released my film after that one came out, then I would have been totally happy with everything. That's the only
absolutely.
problem I have. I don't mind the changes they made. It's still a great movie, and
Yeah,
but yeah, if it weren't for that little phrase, I would be totally happy with the deal.
sure. I don't know if this is even something you can say, but do you think that is something that could possibly happen sometime in the near future where Universal allows you to release it to a broader audience, more accessible?
I think it will be like in 2070, and I'll
Okay.
be long gone, and it'll
Uh,
be like this forgotten discovery.
no,
I don't know. Who knows? They continue to say no, you can't release it.
yeah. Well, that's a bummer, but regardless, for a lot of people, knowing that you're the one who created this storyline, that's a great feeling. You should be very proud of that. You might not get all the credit that you deserve for it, but when people like myself kind of stumble upon the original origin story of Meet the Parents, which obviously is you, it's kind of it's a great thing. I kind of did a deep dive after that, and seeing all the great things
Mm.
you've done, I mean, it definitely sucks you can't get that art out there to everyone, but for the people who are able to see it and check it out and talk about it, that's something you should definitely be proud of getting it out there. So yeah,
But people who are 25 don't even know Meet the Parents the remake.
yeah,
By
yeah,
time I do get the right to release mine, nobody will even know what Meet the Parents was.
right. That's true. I mean, hopefully, in some capacity, we're able to keep it alive. With the new film coming out this year. You're still obviously getting credit for that with characters created by, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, good,
right.
good, good. Well, that's good to hear. Now, let's talk a little bit now about some of your other work. You have a couple other short films you've done. Can you tell everyone a little bit about maybe your favorite one that you've done?
The shorts that are on YouTube, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a friend in Chicago who had a production company. He called me one day and said, "Why don't you come to Chicago and make some shorts?" So it was great. I had no intention of putting them on YouTube or anything like that.
Yeah,
But I went and they had interns from film schools working, and it was a lot of fun. So I made like 6 or 7 short films one summer,
yeah.
and the one that really took off is The Elevator, because
Okay.
that has, 6.5 million views.
Hell yeah.
But, yeah, I just made these shorts for fun, I and the mistake I made with that is I used, recorded music, like famous music for
Mm,
the elevator music, and, so I can't monetize it. So if I wish I had just wrote music and put it on there,
right,
but it's
right.
fine. I'm happy that it's used in classes. I see
Okay,
comments, and my professor told us to watch this. So
that's awesome. Cool.
my film was
Um,
in film schools.
That's great. I mean, that right there, that's a success story all in its own. People being, shown your work to kind of inspire them.
Yeah,
Uh,
great. I got to get to my job at McDonald's now, so I'll see.
Perfect, perfect. Go clock in. No, no,
Yeah,
no, man, you're doing great. It's like I said, I wish that a lot of these things were more accessible. Obviously, with Meet the Parents being one of the main focuses there. Do you have any other feature films? I know you wrote what was it, a guy thing?
yeah.
Yep. How did you come up with
Uh,
that storyline?
Storyline. I had a friend who got so drunk he woke up in a strange bed and had no idea, and I was fascinated by that.
Yeah.
So I made it. So the premise was this guy wakes up and there's this girl next to him, and his fiance's on the way over, and he has no idea who she is or what they did.
I love it.
But so that was that one. And there's another film I did called Relative Strangers that has Danny DeVito and Kathy Bates and all this ridiculous star uh,
Yeah.
cast. but that was the short film that I've done that's actually on YouTube too, where, it was a short I did called, The Housewarming, I think. It was
Okay,
about these obnoxious neighbors. So I Relative Strangers, I just turned that short into a feature like I did with Meet the Parents, where a guy finds out he's adopted and these people are his birth parents.
that's awesome. I'll have to check that one out. You obviously have a YouTube channel where a lot of people can find these at. And what's your at on YouTube? How can they find you?
Filmmaker is my,
Hmm,
name,
gotcha.
but if you just search my name, it'll come.
Yeah, I'll definitely I'll put it in the notes for the episode for people to head on over to your YouTube channel and check out some more of your work and
You know, I
everything.
should mention too, this author will kill me if I don't, that there's a book called the Meet the Parents Story. It was
Okay,
written by a lady named Laura Enright,
okay,
and it's on Amazon and everywhere you can buy books, but it tells the whole story of how from my little short film to, the billion-dollar franchise.
that's pretty awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out too. I'll put a link to that as well in the clip notes. So if anyone listening right now, if you guys want to go check out the notes section, go check out that book available on Amazon. I'll link you there. Do you have any future projects that you're working on?
Uh, yeah, I have a horror film
Hmm.
that
Okay.
I wrote that that, we had Tara Reid and the actress who plays the nun and Robert Englund. So we're
Okay.
kind of, it's just out to some, finance people right now as we speak, but I'm just trying to get it off the ground.
That's amazing. That's great to hear. Do you have a title for it yet? Something to look out for?
Henry?
Henry. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put that on my
scary.
radar. We
Yeah.
love scary around here. So,
Yeah.
uh, definitely a departure from your other work. What kind of made you head in the horror film direction?
Well, when I was a kid, the movies I really loved were horror films. I
Okay.
loved all the Universal, Frankenstein and all those films and Night of the
Mhm.
Living Dead and,
Yeah.
um, so I've always loved horror and the kind of comedy I do is kind of horror in a way.
Sure. I can see
It's like
that.
social horror.
Social horror. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, so I just wanted to try something different. I had done a film called The Road Dog with Doug Stanhope a few years ago, and
Okay.
that's kind of a drama.
Okay.
And I wanted to just try some different things.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Going back to your childhood, you said you grew up loving horror films and everything. Do you have like the ultimate movie that made you feel like this is why I want to become a filmmaker?
For me, I would say Laurel and Hardy
Okay. Okay.
make me because they were my favorite, and still that style is similar to the kind of comedy I like, where it's
Sure.
if you watch Laurel and Hardy, there's no jokes. It's just this horrible things happening to Hardy,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's very deadpan and it's very kind of takes its time.
Hmm. I
Uh,
love that. I think when I was younger, the deadpan comedy kind of always went over my head, but now as I'm getting older, that deadpan dark humor is usually kind of where I lie with the type
yeah.
of comedies I love. So I love that a lot. Going back to Meet the Parents a little bit, what's the biggest misconception that people have about the history of Meet the Parents? Is there something that you always hear? You're like, that's not right.
Uh, My Meet the Parents is a short film,
Mm,
and it was a totally original film that was the Universal made. I think that's the misconception.
okay, yeah, makes sense.
Because that's what they want. They don't want people knowing, I think, that where it came from.
Yeah, I know I mentioned it already, I'm gonna say it again though, is that it really blew my mind. So when Matthew Paul reached out to me about having a conversation with you, he told me that you were the creator of Meet the Parents. So I did some deep diving and I was like, wait a minute. And then once
Uh,
I, really found out all the information, it's incredible that you mentioned Universal kind of buried all of that information. And it's true because I love to research things about movies, and there was never a thought in my mind that I had to try to find someone who originally created Meet the Parents or that it was a remake in any capacity,
They
so
in all the official publicity, they call it a short film.
wow,
They remade Glienna's short film.
wow. It's yeah, that's mind-blowing. It definitely kinda sucks that you can't get all the credit that you deserve, especially off the bat, but, you know what, that's what we're here for. I'm glad that we discovered this. Did it ever feel surreal watching something on screen that you created? I don't know if you went to the theater to see Meet the Parents, the Ben Stiller version, but, if you
I
went
went
to
to
go
the
see it
premiere.
you went to the premiere, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, when you were seeing the film for the very first time, Were there moments in the film where you were like, this is definitely taken directly from my stuff, or why did they change this? You mentioned the joke about the penny in the urn.
I
Were
say
there
it's the same but different,
Yeah.
you know?
Was there anything else in your film that you kind of wish, based on what you were seeing on screen, that you wished would have stayed?
A lot of stuff actually.
Also, yeah,
But,
sure.
no, it's funny, Emo Phillips said to me, it's almost like I had this dream where Robert De Niro was doing our movie, like,
Yeah.
it he also said he knows what the Indians felt like when they sold Manhattan for beads.
Mm.
So,
Gotcha. That's
yeah, but
that's something right there. So growing up, what kind of kid were you creatively? Were you someone who was like a class clown? Were you a little bit more introverted? Were you someone going wild and crazy?
oh, no, I was more introverted.
Introverted. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel like filmmaking kind of brought different aspects of yourself out? You know, acting in front of the camera, things like that.
I think so. I mean, I was always making films, I was always
Mm.
making these little short films and,
Hope that was a way to kind of get some personality out, not be yourself, and just play different characters and have fun with your
uh,
friends.
yeah, I never thought of it that way, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe like an unintentional thing where, it's if you're a little bit more introverted, but you get in front of a camera, you and your friends are having a good time and kind of playing make believe, you kind of become a
Yeah,
different.
with comedians, there's like 2 kinds of people. There's the extroverts and the writers.
Mm,
And I was always a writer. I had good material, but I was never the kinda, "Hey, how are you?"
sure, sure. Well, did you have a life experience that gave you the idea of Meet the Parents? I know you wrote the vase, but if
No, it
something
started
happens,
actually in a I took a course with the Second City, Chicago's Players Workshop at the Second City, and there was a scene that we did, uh, my friend Jim, who was my childhood friend who produced my film, but we did a scene where I was meeting the parents of a girl, and he would so it started with this little 5-minute sketch, and then I did it as the base and then the film. But yeah, it didn't thank God it didn't come from life.
okay,
It came from, a short skit I did in Players Workshop.
okay. Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite questions to ask. Sometimes you watch movies and you're like, did this really happen to the person who wrote this film? Because this
No.
is crazy. Okay.
Well,
Well, that's good to know.
I did get, like, people telling me things that happened that I put in the film. Like, a friend of mine told me he was cutting the roast, and it kind of got out of his
Mm,
control and hit the floor,
yeah, yeah.
so I made it where he spills the wine and he
Either
lifts
way.
up the plate, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
that's great.
yeah, there were a few things, that people told me, "Oh, this actually happened when I was meeting my girlfriend's parents." One
That's
guy
wild.
told me that he sat down on the couch and he heard this, like, "Meow," and the cat apparently slept under the cushions,
Oh,
and he
no.
actually killed this cat.
Holy shit. Oh,
So
okay.
he said he didn't tell anybody. He just he was over to pick up a date, and the next day his girlfriend was crying, "Oh, our cat died." It
Oh my
was like,
god. That's oh, man. Going through situations like that, that's wild. Well, I'm glad you didn't experience anything too crazy like that, or at least
no,
to the
no.
level of your Meet the Parents, but so one of the things I do like to ask my guests on the show is it's kind of a flip on the original idea. What would you tell your younger self? But I always like to ask, what would your younger self tell you today about life, your career, whatever it might be?
What would my younger self tell? Uh, don't sign that contract. I don't know, but that'd be my older self, my younger. Yeah, I can't
Don't sign
answer
the
that
contract.
question.
I like to look at it as children like to kind of look at the world in rose-colored glasses that things are all going to be great, and sometimes it's great to get that advice from children who, if you're having like an off day or whatever it might be, a child can
Yeah,
make your day just a little bit better by giving you a little bit of hope or whatever, as corny as it sounds.
yeah. I'd rather go back to my childhood and give advice.
Sure, what would you do there?
Well, mainly I'd say, get the right to release your
Mm,
film.
yeah, that's definitely what you need there for sure. But cool. Well, Greg, I appreciate you taking the time chatting with me today.
Oh, sure.
Like I mentioned, it has been shocking to learn all of this stuff about Meet the Parents, and I definitely want to use this interview to kind of gain some perspective for people who had no idea, which seems to be a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that's the goal here. I'm going to get that out there, give a couple links to things for people to check out
Right.
and all of that fun stuff. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and hopefully, sometime down the road we can get together soon. We can talk about that horror film you're getting out whenever that's
Yeah.
uh,
Hopefully it'll get
ready
made.
to go. Yeah. So we'll hope for that, and we'll maybe catch back up then. So everyone, thanks for listening. Greg, thanks for taking the time to chat with me,
Thank you.
and everyone have a great day.